So this is where we were, where we tried our hello world. Do we remember what this does?
Simply go to the next line.
Creates a new line. Do you remember what this does?
Also the same thing.
Creates a new line. And then this was the concatenated way of writing it as well. Yeah. So let me just repeat that at the bottom for you. Where we had this. And I'll use the back. Remember the backslash n, it needs to be inside the quote as well, right? So that ends there. And then without the semicolon, we will get an error. So let me just end line here. Yeah. Then run. And we have it. So pretty much everything showing the way we want it. Okay. So I'm going to, I should be able to save this file. I think that is it. Download code. Say leave, and I'll just save it anyway. So later I'll write about it. You do the same and you save for yourself later. I think you also have to figure out a different way. Have we written the code up to this point? Do you want me to give you a bit of time to catch up? Then go on. Let me know when you are ready. Just say go on, carry on, then I'll carry on. Test the output. Right. So what we want to do, remember that code that I said we'll come back to it later. I've got it on the side. We just want to break it down. When we were going through the lecture slides, there was the code I said we'll come back to it later. Yeah. So we'll break it down now, and then later we will. So actually, I just want to print out a new header. So I'll use this. And I'll make a star. And I just simply want to print out a new header, say cout, and say the same. This code calculates users pay. Or this program. Okay, and again, new line with escape character. Remember, I need to end with a semicolon. Then put one underneath. So now I can start a completely new one here. Maybe I should add 2 lines, so another backslash n. And yes, you can see how the outputs look like. So I get a bit of space to write on. Yeah. So here is the thing. A variable is just basically a container. So if you look over here, I've got my glass. This is a variable. Yeah. It's just a container to contain, in this case, liquid, right? So at this particular point in time, what is in there is T, right? So if I want to pour the liquid out, I can pour what? Coffee into it, right? But this container also has a fixed volume. So the same way different types of, or different data types or different types of variables can occupy particular memory location or memory area. Yeah. for memory space. That's the right word to choose. So we want to start off by declaring some variables like we just want to say we can have the hours the person has worked. We can have the rate of pay or their current pay rate, and then we can have the pay that they received at that point. So in this particular case, because it can be like really large number, we will say the hours is of data type double. Think of double as can contain twice the size of an integer, for example, yeah? Then make this one to double, and then make this double. All right? Sorry? That is what we are working towards. Perfect. So as rightfully said, you know this, we didn't get any error, right? Because they are all of this type, we can simply do this. And put it on the same line, which means hours, rate, and pay are of type double. Cool? Yeah? So the first thing we want to do is to ask the user for the number of hours they've worked. And also later we'll ask them for the pay rate, and then we ask them for the actual pay. So the first step is to, let's say, get the number of hours worked. So in order to ask the user for information or to take information from the keyboard, remember to put information from the keyboard, we use character out, cout. So if it is not out, it is what? The opposite. If it's not going out, it's coming. Yeah. So we use cin. An easy way to remember, cout had this less than, so cin will have the greater than. Yeah. So we name which one we are taking in, and it is the hours. Yeah. So at the moment, if I run this, it runs and it holds asking me for something, right? So it's not very efficient because I don't know what it's asking me for. So let's prompt the user what he should type. I need to stop the simulation. So let's prompt the user, cout this, that, ask, how many hours did you work? So if I run this right now, I can say, how many hours did you work? Maybe 20 hours. Then it takes it and accepts it. Let's see whether it actually accepted the 20 hours. So let's print out, you entered, in here, remember the way that we concatenated at first here, right? I'm just going to print the hours. Now, this is the variable name without the code, right? Without the codes. So it's going to print, give me the actual content. So it's going to give me the T when I try to print out the content. Then I'll just put into bracket hours and put a new line. Or let's say you have worked. Easier. Let me put a prompt here. So if I run it, it says, how many hours have you worked? I say maybe 20. Then it goes, you've worked 20 hours. So I'll put a space there. We okay up to this point? Now, just as you've done for the number of hours they've worked. I want you to prompt the user to enter how much they get paid per hour. So ask the user, how much do you get paid per hour? And you store that in which variable? The rate. Yeah. So what is your hourly rate? And then also you print that out to show the user that your hourly rate is. So basically, at this moment, we've only declared that we have, and we're going to make use of hours, we're going to make use of rate, we're going to make use of pay. They don't have any content here. They don't have any value, right? So we get the value for the hours from the user, and then we print it back to the user. So at the moment, only hours have value. So if we say, if we are to work it out together, it will click in a second. If we say, how much do you get paid per hour? Do you get paid per hour? Yeah. Then we prompt the user for the pay. So it's seeing, and that one is the opposite, is a greater than, right? And then we take the rate. So at this point, we will prompt the user to give us the value of rate. Then we can go out to say that, get things done. Then we can go out to say maybe we need to calculate the pay. So we can say your pay is, and we want to work it out, right? So your pay is maybe pay is equal to what? The hours times the rate. Then we can print it out. Remember, it's still going to be one line, right? So we just print. At this point, we have the value of pay, right? Hopefully there are no errors, but let's see. So you see, we get the hours 20. How much do we get paid per hour? Maybe 22 or 24. Then it just tells you your pay is. Yeah. So if that gives you a clue, you should be able to fix the error you're having now. Now, each time it's like, I hope there's no error. Then I compile to see before the code becomes really big. Yeah, otherwise it's quite hard to debug. But something like what we saw earlier, if you read, let me make a mistake here right now. And then run it. Stop that. Yep, it tells me roughly around which line I made an error, and it's pointing to where the potential error is. And it's also making a suggestion in terms of what it expected. So sometimes the error message is really useful in fixing things. So let me say second half. Yeah, so we know where we are. Pretty much sums up the code that we wanted to complete. We're going to run a bunch of codes as well. I would save this recording here